their shelter in their community center. So we had recreation staff go over there and start monitoring and talking with Red Cross and trying to figure that out, just to kind of see their operations, like where would you crate pets and all that good stuff. So we've got a really solid plan frame.
Good evening. Welcome to the Kent City Council meeting for Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026, or as we have now deemed today, Touchdown Tuesday. So you see council representing. We had a all-city photo this afternoon, did a little bit of the Go Hawks, Seahawks chant led by council member Boyce this afternoon. So this is the Kent City of Kent Council channeling all of the amazing thoughts to the Seahawks for the game on Sunday. So Touchdown Tuesday. I think that's appropriate. We're all pretty excited. All right. With that, we have called the meeting to order. If you could all rise and join us in the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Kim, could you call the roll, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mayor Ralph.
Here.
Council President Kaur.
Here.
Councilmember Boyce.
Here.
Councilmember Boyd.
Here.
Councilmember Larmer.
Here.
Councilmember Michaud.
Here.
Councilmember Shoker.
Here.
Councilmember Troutner.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
No changes from staff.
All right. A motion would be in order to approve the agenda as published.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to public communications, we have two items this evening. The first one under public recognition is Employee of the Month. So each month, employees here at the City of Kent get together and nominate one of their coworkers that exemplifies our mission, vision, values, and goals here at the city. It can be in either a special project or most often just in how that employee shows up and does their job and really represents the heart of what we are as a city. I am very pleased to announce that our February 2026 Employee of the Month is Carlos Munoz Sanchez Yanez. Carlos was first hired on August 27th, 2019 as a temporary maintenance worker. On March 16th, 2020, he was hired as a full-time maintenance worker too. There is the plug for, we have a lot of temporary opportunities at City that then turn into long-term careers for people. He was promoted on March 1st, 2022 into his current position as a Maintenance Worker 3 for the Public Works Department. As a Maintenance Worker 3, Carlos performs a variety of skilled work in maintenance of city streets and other areas of jurisdiction, operates light and heavy equipment. Carlos was nominated because he goes above and beyond with every task that he is assigned. He always displays a great attitude around the building and out at job sites. He is often one of the first ones out of the shop in the morning and one of the last ones to return. He makes every effort to keep morale high through his unwavering positive attitude and work ethic, even in the toughest of situations. There is no task too low for Carlos, and he will do whatever it takes to get the job done efficiently, all while setting a good pace and setting a good example. He often takes up tougher physical tasks himself so that others don't have to. One example of this is when he was manning the leaf vacuum along a significant portion of Southeast 256th during a heavy rain, never asking to switch out, even though he was so saturated in mud that you could hardly see his face. He just kept on going. I kind of wish we had a photo of that. Carlos always works in this manner while continuously keeping his fellow coworkers engaged in a fun and meaningful way with his friendly nature. He is always checking on his coworkers and cares enough to make an effort to remember specific details about everybody he interacts with, including anything from checking in on how they're doing with an injury or to specific events that may have occurred over the weekend. Carlos is a joy to be around in all circumstances. He continuously embraces our values, and we celebrate him as February's Employee of the Month. All of the things that are written are quotes from his coworkers, and I think that makes it particularly meaningful when the people that are around you enjoy working with you so much. So we want to celebrate Carlos Munoz Sanchez Yanez as our February Employee of the Month.
Let's clap for Carlos.
We can clap, absolutely. He hoped to attend tonight and was not able to be here, so Thank you for that. All right, the next thing we have this evening is a proclamation for Black History Month. And as we were working through what we wanted this proclamation to say, we changed it up a little bit this year, and it's specifically to honor some of the outstanding achievements of one of our fellow council members sitting here to my left, who is now blushing a little bit. But I think it's
Not blushing.
I think it's important to recognize really the history that Councilmember Boyce has created here in the city of Kent. So the proclamation says, whereas since 1976, every United States president has officially designated the month of February as National Black History Month to honor and affirm the importance of Black history throughout our American experience. And whereas the observation of Black History Month began in 1926 when Harvard-trained historian Carter G. Woodson and Minister Jesse Moreland sponsored the first National Negro History Week, which was celebrated the second week in February, and later in the 1960s as a part of the Civil Rights Movement, the observance evolved into Black History Month. And whereas Black History Month serves as a celebration of the accomplishments and contributions of Black Americans throughout the history of our nation, the fullness of African American history and culture, and time to recognize that across generations, countless Black Americans have demonstrated profound moral courage and resilience to help shape our nation for the better. And whereas much of the City of Kent's strength and success can be attributed to the diversity of cultures and traditions that are celebrated by our residents and employees of this great city. And whereas African Americans have played significant roles within the Kent City government and beyond, making lasting contributions to our city's history and the history of Washington's economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development, while working tirelessly to contribute to every aspect of American society, including business, education, medicine, science, and the arts. Whereas, after serving nearly 16 consecutive years in the Kent School Board as the first Black Kent School Board member, that I added to the proclamation once I confirmed with you. In 2012, Councilmember Boyce became the first African-American elected to public office in the city of Kent. So 2 groundbreaking roles here in the city. He has since been joined by Councilmember Brenda Fincher in public office in Kent and Councilmember John Boyd in 2024. In 2020, the council leadership adopted Juneteenth as a paid city holiday and a full year before Juneteenth became a national holiday. And whereas Black History Month is a time for all Kent residents and employees to remember and acknowledge the contributions and legacy of those who helped build our city, advance the cause for civil rights for all Americans, regardless of ethnicity or gender, and continue to fight against hate and secure the lives and dignity for all. Now, therefore, I, Dana Ralph, Mayor of Kent, do hereby proclaim February 2026 to be Black History Month in the City of Kent and encourage all residents and employees to join me in honoring the many contributions made by African Americans to our city, state, and nation. Specifically, Councilmember Boyce, for the work that you have done for this community so tirelessly, beginning with Little League, raising your kids here, all of those contributions through the work on the school board and here at the Kent City Council. Just want to say thank you.
Are you waiting for me to say something?
I'm waiting for you to say something.
Well, I'm not going to say too much. First of all, I do, just growing up in the South, one thing that my parents, especially my dad, has always taught us kids is to, you want to make this world a better place, and that's something that have always stuck with me and even some of my siblings up to today, right? So I just always want to make an impact, always want to be a positive member of society. When I'm no longer here, I want people to remember that, I care about people. In this case, I care about the city of Kent and the stuff that we do here. And I love my peers that I get to work with, very diverse peers, and I think we work extremely well together. So really, it's just, I do things, I just do it because it's coming from my heart. I don't think about all this other stuff. It's just who I am, and I won't change, and people tell you, I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve, and that's just kind of the person I am. I would ask that I would like to take a picture of all of my council members, if you don't mind, and you, Mayor, and I appreciate the award, Madam Mayor, and it means a lot, so thank you very much.
Before we take a quick picture, Superintendent Vella, I'm going to put you on the spot. I would love it if you could come up and just say a few words about the service that Bill provided at the school district. I think it's really important to acknowledge all of that work as well.
No, thank you, Mayor Ralph, council members. I can tell you that the very first time I met Bill may not remember this, but I was a principal at Meridian Elementary, and I remember, because I had a couple of his kids come through Meridian. It was awesome. And the first time I met him, there was an altercation out on the playground. And it was a fun time. And first of all, got a chance to meet him, a board member. And from that point on, we became very good friends. His wife and his kids. In fact, I remember with one of his kids, we used to have a little challenge out on the playground with the basketball or football or whatever it was. And I will tell you the other piece is that what he said about himself, as you can see in his kids personify exactly what he means to the city of Kent. That is, they contribute to society in many, many ways. And I know the Kent School District would not be the same without Bill's touch as member of the school board, but really more importantly as a member, a parent of the community and kids that attended our schools. So thank you so much, Bill, you and the parents of Kent and your children. We appreciate you and love you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was wondering why you was here.
Do you want to go down in front, or do you want
Yes.
to just do it up here?
Let's
Up
go
down in front?
please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You had to fix that chair.
I got to fix it. I don't remember until I sit down. All right, we are going to go ahead and move on in the agenda to community events. Council President.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have community events happening at Acceso Showware Center. If you haven't been to Acceso Showware Center, it's a great space for our community. I'm sure you've been there for graduations or other internet events like Kent International Festival. In February, there's February 6th, Seattle Thunderbirds are playing Portland Winterhawks. And on February 13, Seattle Thunderbirds are again playing Tri-City Americans. And on February 14, on Valentine's Day, we have WWE presenting NXT Live. And what a wonderful way to spend your day with your loved ones there. So, go watch some wrestling or whatever that's happening there. February 15, Tacoma Stars versus Milwaukee Wave. And February 20th, again, Seattle Thunderbirds versus Portland Winterhawks. And on February 21, Tacoma Stars versus San Diego Sockers. And you can get tickets for all these events at accessoshowwarecenter.com. Thank you.
All right. Okay, we are going to move on. The next item on the agenda is reports. So each one of our council members not only serves as representative on the city council at our regular meetings on the first and third Tuesday of the month, but also in conversations across the community, as well as on regional boards, regional and statewide boards and commissions, making sure that the voice of our residents is represented in those conversations, both regarding policy and funding. So very, very grateful for that engagement. I am going to go ahead and start reports tonight. Last week, I had the opportunity to attend the U.S. Conference of Mayors in Washington, D.C., with mayors from across the country. While we were in D.C., we had two very successful meetings with Senator Murray and Senator Cantwell. The primary focus of the conversation that Kent brought. So we met with the mayors of Auburn, Renton, Issaquah, and Redmond. Our primary focus was regarding flood recovery as well as prevention. So issues with the Howard Hansen Dam, our relationship with the Army Corps of Engineers, what that looked like, and then what economic recovery looks like as well. Want to say we're very, very grateful to the senators for taking time to meet with us. And again, feel like they were very productive conversations with outcomes that we'll be seeing and meetings that will be scheduled going forward. Also had the opportunity on behalf of our economic and community development team to accept a grant for $10,000 from Bank of America and the U.S. Conference of Mayors to support our continued work around workforce development and relationship building with the CEOs of some of our employers here in the Kent Valley, making sure that as a city, you've heard Bill Ellis present on the CEO roundtable regarding the work that we're doing, making sure that we're developing that workforce pipeline, as well as meeting the needs of those small to medium-sized companies as they're building and growing here in the city of Kent. So really grateful to the conference for that that award that will allow us to continue that work, and grateful for our economic development team for building that grant application. So we will hear more about that work as it continues into the next year. With that, I am going to turn it over to our Chief Administrative Officer, Pat Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Briefly, I just want to mention Kyle Moore, our government relations manager in the back there, continues to work tirelessly over this legislative session. Two things we're really focused on at the moment are Senate Bill 6002 regarding flock cameras. Kyle's been leading analysis on that with the help from the law department and other departments, police department. And then also with HB 2489, which is a bill regarding homelessness that really eliminates all of our ability to enforce. I think we have, because of Kyle's work, approximately 35 cities and counting that are directly opposing that bill. Those continue to be two of the biggest issues that we're dealing with at this moment. There are so many bills coming through. I think cutoff is tomorrow, end of day, and we should have a little bit of daylight on what survives, and then we'll be able to refocus our efforts then. But Kyle continues to keep you all updated with emails, and we're doing a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes this year. So I just wanted to let you know that. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. And I think it's important to highlight both of those bills that Pat mentioned would directly impact our ability to keep our community safe should they pass. And that is not an understatement. The inability to use those cameras to help us solve crime and the inability to address issues around homelessness in our community would have significant impacts. And so know that we are, as a city, working very hard to convince the legislature that really our primary job is to keep our community safe. So, Council President, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I serve on Association of Washington Cities Nominating Committee. We actually had our meeting last week, and one of the things that I want to point out to my colleagues is that there's a District 13 vacancy, which is part of Kent, is part of that, for the Board of Directors for Association of Washington Cities. That's Kent, Renton, some of our other neighboring cities. So if you feel the need, you could probably apply for that board. And I know that Madam Mayor is thinking of applying for that, so I'm assuming other cities will also be applying as well to get on the board. But I just want to throw it out there. Also, I serve on Board of Health with King County. We had our first meeting, but all that information will be in our council newsletter. This evening, we had a very interesting presentation on homelessness by Mayor Eric Zimmerman from Normandy Park. So if you're interested, that information is available on our Facebook page, YouTube, Kent TV 21. Very interesting data points and facts there. So for our audience and for our community to view. With that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with my council members on my right here. Councilmember Troutner.
Thank you, Council President. I sit on the Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority Governance Board with Councilmember Boyd and Councilmember Larmer. At our meeting on Wednesday, January 21st, Chief Jones presented awards for meritorious service to Kent Police Sergeant Ken Clay, Officer James Kitache, and Officer Isaiah Munoz. It's always fun when we get to have police officers come into the fire department. They were awarded these for aiding rescue victims from a fire back in July. So congratulations to them. I'd also like to say congratulations to Verna Seal. She is a council member in Tukwila, and we elected her to be our RFA chair for next year. So congratulations to Verna. I also sit on the Regional Transit Committee. We did not meet in January, and our next meeting is February 18th. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Troutner. Councilmember Boyd.
Yes, since January 20th, we had no committee meetings, so I have nothing to report out.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyd. Councilmember Boyce.
Thank you, Madam President. I sit on the Sound City Association PIC Committee, which is a public issue committee that consists of 38 cities, right? 38 cities. Our January meeting got canceled, but I do want to let you know that there is a position open for equity and inclusion. They look for 13 members. So please, if you're interested, you can mail SCA. Also, tomorrow night, there's a SCA orientation in CTAC, mainly for new members, but also for members that have been there for a while. There's always something there to learn. And they are serving food, piece of salad, and then there'll be people from the regional level making the speech. And then we also have some veteran members making a speech as well, too. So if you're interested in going, that's tomorrow night, 6 o'clock at City Hall and at CTAC. And let's see here. And our FCA next meeting is next Wednesday, 2/11. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyce. Councilmember Larmer.
Thank you, Council President. So I'm the subject matter chair for Economic and Community Development, and earlier tonight in our Committee of the Whole, we accepted an EPA grant for $500,000 to study cleanup and reuse opportunities for brownfields in the city. So brownfields are vacant or underutilized properties that are unlikely to be redeveloped due to environmental reasons without some remediation. So excited that we'll be able to start looking at what we might be able to do with those properties in Kent. I also serve on the King County Growth Management Planning Council, and we will not meet until March, so I'll report on that then. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Larmer. Councilmember Michaud.
Thank you, Council President. I serve on the Washington Community Forestry Council as the AWC representative. We did have a meeting today. Those meetings are half-day meetings, so I will report on that in my next report.
Thank you, Councilmember Michaud. Councilmember Shoker.
Thank you. I have not joined any boards or commissions yet, but I will be attending the SCA orientation tomorrow. And then also had the opportunity to go to the Kent Parks Family Night Out at Kent Commons last week. I took my son. It was a great opportunity for families to explore the facility, participate in a wide range of activities. He learned how to do a somersault. And there was also an opportunity to weigh in on some of the cool things the city's doing. So that was really awesome. And then I also got to stop by a chamber event, which was at a small business in Kent. So great to see us connecting.
Thank you, Councilmember. And with that, as you can see, all of my colleagues here are busy representing Kent. And I just want to say, for Sunday, go Seahawks. And back to you, Madam Mayor.
Right. Thank you. So Councilmember Shoker had a chance also to attend the Family Fun event. And one of my favorite stations was we had pictures of Town Square Park. And we're in the process of envisioning what that is going to be. And so the kids could take markers and draw on there what they wanted that park to look like. Some of the most creative, everything from it should be a coat hanger to planets and space and construction equipment, but fantastic ideas. So I can't wait for council to get to weigh in and see where that creativity lends itself. But that level of engagement is always fun to see, even with our youngest residents. So thanks for highlighting that event. All right, we are going to move on. Item number 6 is public hearing, and we do not have a public hearing this evening. Item number 7 is public comment. Kim, do we have anyone signed up?
We do not.
All right, we will move right on to the consent calendar. Consent calendar is a combination of items that the City Council has worked through at both workshop and committee of the whole. They've had an opportunity to receive presentations, have discussion, ask questions, and these items have all passed out of committee of the whole without controversy. Tonight we have items A through G. Is there a motion to accept the consent calendar?
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. The consent calendar is approved. Item number 9 under other business. Tonight we have a purchase and sale agreement regarding the Naden Avenue assemblage coming before you. And joining us this evening is Bill Ellis. Bill, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi. Good evening, council members. I'm here back again after 2 weeks from our previous presentation, ECD update, to talk about a property in Kent that has some very unique attributes, as we've discussed for a long time now, for manufacturing. That's the Naden Avenue assemblage, image here on the screen. Served by 2 state highways. It has a large King County sewer trunk for wastewater along the old roadbed of the vacated old Naden Road. It has an 18 megawatt electric substation. You might notice some construction crews right now from Puget Sound Energy upgrading that substation the last few weeks, months. And all of these things really lend itself to a unique opportunity for the city for a build-to-suit development. And I'll talk more about that in a moment, but first I just wanted to review some of the milestones over the years. We first started talking about manufacturing in the downtown back in 2016. As we surplus the property, we discussed, with council here, that we had done several developments for housing and that we wanted to see more employment-intensive uses in the downtown, specifically in primary industry. We did an RFQ in 2020. We did select at the time Avenue 55. We did an MOU, which was non-binding in the way that I am going to be presenting today, a purchase and sale agreement with them for a period to test would this site indeed be possibly of interest just for manufacturing type campus use. Unfortunately, there were changes in the lending and business market. We could not consummate a deal with Avenue 55 for a speculatively financed Flex Tech business park. That no longer made sense. As conditions have improved, though, for lending, and as the council has made other decisions in and around downtown with placement of workers, and we are extending ourselves now with more public property, it behooved us to test again, but this time request for proposals, different than qualifications for a development team. I informed that with council in May of 2025. We opened that proposal later that month. We closed August 1. Current council president selected a panel inclusive of the mayor and 3 of our economic development subject matter experts from this council, including Councilmember Boyce, Councilmember Lorimer, and Councilmember Troutner and staff. And that group convened with the 3 responses we received. We received responses from Panattoni Development, Spec Development, and Mortenson Development. They were interviewed in this room back in September. And I'm here today to talk a little bit about Mortenson negotiation and that selection process. One of the things that was asked of the selection panel was to balance the criteria that were in the RFP to the city's goals and objectives. There's a lot of different ways in which you could look at a development team. You could look at them in terms of the team strength, what were their experiences, what were their track record. You can look at what they're proposing specifically for the site. Were they leaning, did they have strengths around marketing plans? Did they really understand that our desire at a highly visible location at 2 state highways to have something of architectural distinction? We could also look at the offer on the sales and lease price, or the kinds of businesses. And what I've highlighted here is through this consensus process that we ran on the day of the selection, where we asked selection panel members to make trade-offs and decide where were their priority in scoring. And one thing that was by far and away the most important was the idea that the property needed to create recurring tax revenue for the city of Kent, and that it attract certain kinds of businesses that met that goal. So beyond just the sales price, the idea is to recruit into our regional growth center primary industry and manufacturing of a high caliber for wages and intensive use. We, of course, consider all of our work that's happened on the Mimian Meeker, the appropriateness of having an interface between an industrial building and these sort of pedestrian environments. We wanted to make sure that, of course, the team had a great track record, and frankly, all of the proposals we received, all 3 of them, were very good, experienced, skilled development teams. But now I'll speak a little bit to the selected proposal, and I'm using some of their slides here from their interview. So Mortenson Development Incorporated is perhaps more famous in this region for some of the work that they do in construction. Here's the team that came and presented. This team flew here from Minneapolis, where most of the development team is. They have construction offices here in Seattle, so you might be aware of Climate Pledge Arena. You might have seen the Mortenson sign out there. So that's how a lot of people go, oh yeah, Mortenson, wait, aren't they just builders? And the answer is no, they're not just builders. They're also sometimes developers and investors. As developers and investors, they have a lesser profile in our region. They do have construction offices in Kent, actually. But one of the things that was very striking for our selection panel was the research that they undertook to the public information that we have about the aerospace industry and the economic impact that we believe that it has in our community. And then they walked the selection panel through how they felt that the development, a maximizing of development at the Naden Avenue property will have benefits in terms of the local economy in year 1 and in year 20. So in year 1, jobs created, all the spending from the jobs created at that site, the land development itself, tax revenue, the local spending of those employees in the area. If you total that up over time, using some of our information, their projection is $1 billion. If you have over 20 years, something like an aerospace headquarters over a 9-acre site. And so, given what I shared previously just 2 weeks ago, and as we've been talking to the downtown sub-area plan, about 60% of our downtown property right now is producing no tax, is exempt from tax. It's very important for our regional growth center to have our primary industry represented and generating revenue. And Mortenson, through their presentation, seemed to be very convincing that they understood that, and we're going to make a lot of choices through their development process that reflected that overarching goal in alignment with city's goals. Other goals and objectives, though, that spoke to the values of the city of Kent. On the left, just showing the sort of architectural distinctive design they presented to us. Now, I have to caveat and caution the image. This is to reflect that they sort of get our I-1 and design guidelines, which would apply here, that they understood our architectural distinctiveness. This isn't necessarily what they're going to build, though, because what they're going to be pursuing is something called purpose-built development. They are going to be led by the end-user requirements, and so what that might actually express itself is going to shift and change from here. But this is just what they shared with us to show that they understood our guidelines and that they were going to be leaning into contractually into what we wanted. On the right was another slide they shared, that they would hire someone locally to be a community engagement manager, that they had values as a corporation to utilize local minority and women businesses, that they would have local apprentice utilization, and that they would have participation goals around that. And they listed some of the agencies in our area that they would like to work with if they were selected. These are things that would be reflected at a later time in a development agreement with Mortenson, but something that was early present in their presentation and in the purchase and sale agreement. they recognize that our comprehensive economic developments, our comprehensive plans, economic development element, sorry, this is a mouthful, calls out specifically that we would like to see these types of goals in our projects. So they took that on and leaned into it. A little bit more about Mortenson at a national level. They are a very large and respected business. They have over $6.7 billion in annual revenue. They have, as you can see here on the slide, delivered over 470 manufacturing projects with 114 unique companies. They do have a team here, but they have also a national spread. These were advantages if we are trying to pursue recruitment or retention of a local company, that they have the skills and expertise to deliver a project, but also help uncover or find someone through their larger network at a national level. So it gave more opportunities, more bites at the apple working with this group. They went into more detail about that with their development roadmap. I don't intend to share exactly their Gantt chart here, but only to explain that they walked us through their development process and that they demonstrated a commitment to our vision and that they had a real plan to develop the site. I think the other key thing that was a differentiator for Mortenson versus some of the other groups presented, the other two groups, Panattoni and Specht, more traditional developer, they're not vertically integrated with the construction. So why does that matter? Speed. So the theory here, the thesis here is that Mortenson could be quick. And why does that matter? Well, when an advanced manufacturer needs to meet a timeline, especially if you're, let's say, a space company, it's a little bit unpredictable, like what's your next test flight going to look like, when's your next contract, what's that next fork in the road. They have a hard time when I talk to manufacturers over the years, predicting exactly when they're going to need that facility and how large it's going to be and all these requirements. And then when they needed it yesterday. And so speed to delivery of a new building, going from raw land to a building stood up, having someone that is vertically integrated development, investment, and construction speaks to an integration that we think will lend advantages in speed. So this is, I really want to linger on this because I forecasted earlier. This is different than a speculative business park where we are looking for the developer to create a project, sort of very flexible big box, and then whatever shows up to that box later. They're going to be looking for, in the agreement before you today, that we're seeking authorization to pursue, very much depends upon a purpose-built requirement. They need to have that end user driving that. We have some vacancy today in the Industrial Valley. Why build the suit? Well, as on the left, this is from fall 2025 publication in NAIOP. Actually, more of the developments you're seeing right now in industrial, they're more build the suit. Why? Because speculative development was really about e-commerce, it was about big warehouses, it was about distributing everything from toothbrushes to galoshes. Manufacturing, which is kind of the spending and ramp up and demand we see right now, especially in defense, they care about special things. They care about maybe the floor strength for special equipment. Is the floor reinforced to a certain strength? I was talking to a CEO the other week, and they were opening up the roof and digging up and jacking up the floors and putting cranes and putting all the new equipment and doubling their employee count. And by the time they do all of that work to a building, getting the floor right, getting the ceiling right, getting the electrical power, you're starting to talk about a time to permit a conversion of an existing warehouse building that's almost equivalent in time to, or potentially even longer depending on the building, getting the custom fit. So why wouldn't you get the custom fit that is more efficient? So then the build-to-suit option for those manufacturers is then more important than the existing building. So there's some unpredictable requirements, but speed to delivery is really important. And I think having some of the things that we're seeing going on right now at the location in terms of access with the Puget Sound Energy substation being upgraded, even the improvements on Meeker are all things that help lend to making the site more shovel-ready. So the proposal was made, and the selection panel chose Mortenson. Then staff went to Mortenson to make sure certain things were met, that the city's target price was indeed met at $45 per square foot. For this scale of this site, that's about $18.3 million. That they would commit to elevated architectural design and interface with Meeker Square. That the early engineering and site design work is one of the things that we really pushed for, was to make sure, back to that speed, that there was SEPA milestones and civil engineering milestones, and that we would own the work product of all the early site design and investment into the site. We discussed and agreed that having the closing on the project in 2 phases is possible, but not necessarily desirable. So if there is one user that can take the entire site, it's only 1 phase. But we're open to a requirement where maybe there's a smaller building that is more ready to go on a certain timeline, and that would set up future success for the rest of the development. And that the developer is responsible for making the connection from Willis Street to Meeker Street via a new road that they will deliver native. These are some more of the deeper detail points. So, as I was mentioning before, there's some periods here to try to build confidence. One is the feasibility period. 365 days after the effective date of the agreement, they need to do due diligence. They need to check on the environmental again. They need to go look at the site. They need to do all the things that you would do when you want to purchase something. At that point, during that period, if Mortenson finds something that, frankly, they don't want to pursue further, they're able to get their earnest money back. Second piece, user negotiation period. Now, it says 180 days after feasibility period. Realistically, if they are talking to an end user right now, and that really catches fire, they could go quicker. It doesn't have to wait for the feasibility period to end. But a clock starts after the feasibility period that they need to come forward with an end user at that point. Entitlement period. So 365 days, again, this can be concurrent. After the satisfaction of the user negotiation period, they need to pursue design, entitlement, and permits for the whole of the site. And at that point, the earnest money, which is $200,000, goes hard and it becomes the city's. We did allow, though, since we would own the work product, a portion of that earnest money they could draw down upon to invest right in the site right now, because a lot of things have not been done in terms of civil engineering. We have not civil engineered New Naden, which really starts to uncover things about stormwater. We have not completed a SEPA. SEPA would go concurrent with this. And we're also asking for a grade and fill permit. And the grade and fill permit would also uncover civil engineering on the site. So these are all things to make the site more ready. Also a requirement for closing the sale is a development agreement. So that would provide more regulatory certainty to both the end user and the city. This is good for both parties. If you're an end user, you really want to make sure that our zoning allows their thing, and this is an opportunity to do that. I'll give you an example of something in the purchase sale agreement. We've already put a marker out and said no. Data center, no data centers. That would be an obvious use case with a large power substation right there. Doesn't really have the employment and tax revenue metrics that we set out for. So, and it's not really manufacturing. So just making it clear and underscored, no data centers. But it's also an example of that. There are also details in permitting. You know, in the drawings that they've shown here, they've met our zoning code, only a couple of dock doors. We might want to consider a third door, or maybe there's a big door for something that's larger that needs to go in and out of the building. I don't want to second guess what that end user is, but there are examples of things where we may want to have a deviation this way or the other in the entitlement process, and as we lock in that use, having the addition of the development agreement underscores certainty and prevents interpretation from all parties. That would require a public hearing and a council vote. But that would be in the future, at the end of a user negotiation, and before they close with the end user, they'll have seek that certainty from the city. And with that, I yield for questions.
All right. Thank you, Bill, for all the work that you have done to get us to this point. Questions, starting with Councilmember Boyce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I just want to start out. I have a tremendous amount of respect for you. I really do. And there have been many opportunities at this particular property that we looked at and we didn't feel like it was the right look and feel for us, right? And this last go round, I mean, I feel really good about this. It kind of reminded me many years ago when we talked about Meet Me on Meeker with Kurt and the team, and look where we're at today, right? So to me, this is a unique opportunity for us, really, you know, as council member to really kind of help change what Naden can be. I think, you know, it was an honor for me to be on the panel and be part of the selection process. Totally impressed with the leadership team for Mortenson. I mean, just totally impressed with them. And you can tell this is something that they really want. They want to be part of. They want to be part of the team. And so I feel really good about that. Like I say, it kind of remind me, it could be like a landmark, like Showware or Meet Me on Meeker, and then we got Naden coming, right? So feel really good about that. Also, I think with the opportunity for jobs, right? This is a good opportunity. I mean, 'cause we had a presentation earlier about homelessness, right? To me, we also need to provide jobs as a city for people to work, right? So I am totally sold on this year. I am just really, really ecstatic about this year. And I think it's probably the last big piece of land probably in Kent that we can actually probably put something on. I could be wrong, but
There's a landfill or two, but.
besides that, we won't talk about that yet, but yeah, I get it. But at the end of the day, the economic development team is an awesome team, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for you, and I thank you very much for your presentation, sir.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Councilmember Boyd.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Hey, Bill, how you doing, sir?
Good, thank you.
So we're talking about, what, 13 parcels?
How many parcels?
Yeah, how many?
23 parcels.
23 parcels on how much acres of land?
9.2.
9.2, and the price was 18.3 mil?
Yes.
Okay, have City of Kent, have we ever done anything this big before?
I don't know the exact acreage of Kent Station offhand, but I might have been a little larger by a few acres.
Okay, so my question, that leads to this question, are we selling this to Mortensen at a market value?
Yes, this meets our target appraisal.
Okay. And another thing is, okay, this entitlement period, it says right here, you said after 365 days after the satisfaction of a milestone within the user negotiation period to pursue design, entitlement, and permitting a project. You said the earnest money is no longer refundable during this period.
Yep.
So let's say that we go past 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Does that earnest money also goes towards the purchase of the property? Or
Up to 100,000 will go in the earlier phases, but at a certain point, if they've gone far enough along, there's really, at that point, all of the money becomes ours at full amount.
Okay, well, thank you.
And the earnest money also goes towards the final purchase price.
Fine. Okay.
So that's where we have, we're both motivated.
Okay.
If they find the end user, we make our purchase price.
Okay. Well, you did a great job here, Bill. Thanks a lot, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Councilmember Michaud.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you so much for your presentation, Bill. This has been quite the journey. I have a few questions. Do you know how much we bought this property for way back when?
Last time I had that calculated, it was kind of adjusted for inflation. It's probably around 11 million.
Okay, and then we've also put improvements onto it.
We have actually put few improvements on it. We did put dirt on the land, which saved us money from the Downey Farms excavation. We had put that there, but we didn't actually spend money to do that.
Okay, but improvements to the road have been made and things like that?
On Willis Street, there has been improvements to the street grid.
Okay.
Not on the site.
So staff and council will have the opportunity to see the final product before it gets approved, right?
Yeah, the development agreement would add as a condition of closing.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Larmer.
Thank you. Yeah, Bill, I just want to echo everything that's been said up here. I'm very excited about it. I haven't been on it, and I was very impressed with Mortensen, and we share our values and our vision. Responded, and we were able to select them. I think one thing that I'm most excited about, in addition to the jobs that are going to be downtown, but it's just all of that foot traffic and that revenue and that going to the lunch places and going to happy hour and just all those things that come with more jobs and activity in downtown. So I'm really excited to see that coming.
Yeah, I have this up here. I'm sure there's the direct impact, and then there's the indirect. It's all the spending that you're talking about, and then all the spending that also induces. And so it's that multiplier effect that comes from having an employment use that is unique, and one of the reasons why we've positioned the property as we have.
Yeah. All right, any additional questions? Okay, seeing none, a motion would be in order.
Mayor, I move to authorize the mayor to sign the purchase and sale agreement governing the sale of the Naden Avenue assemblage to Mortensen Development, Inc., and any other documents necessary to effectuate the sale subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the Economic and Community Development Director and City Attorney.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Troutner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to echo what my colleagues said. Thank you to Councilmember Boyce, Councilmember Larmer. We did have great conversation. This process was very enjoyable. I'm happy to stand behind our selection and support this evening. So thank you very much.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
We're going to clap. How about that? Yeah. Got it done. Got it done. Awesome.
I cannot overstate the amount of work that Bill and Kurt and Tammy and her whole team and Christina and Chad and Pat, the amount of work that has gone into getting us to this point in this agreement, getting the property prepared. It is Naden is a standing item on nearly every meeting that we have. And at some point, I'm going to be really, really grateful that it is no longer a standing item on those agendas. But really, like I said, I can't underscore enough the amount of work that so many people have put into getting us to this point. Huge milestone, and we look forward to the next milestone. But Council, thank you very much for approving this evening and really anticipating great things coming to our downtown. Councilmember Larmer, you hit it right on the head. Like the increased jobs, the number of people in the downtown is only a good thing for the community. So can't wait to have Bill back for the next phase. All right. With that, we are going to move on to bids. We do have a bid this evening. Joining us is Chad Barron, our Public Works Director, for Meeker Street, Washington Avenue to Interurban Trail Project. And I feel like, Councilmember Boyce, you already sort of teed up the amount of work that's happening with me on Meeker.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yeah, actually, we did not plan to have these two items in the same night. It just worked out that way, although we've been planning to have the construction done on Meeker Street before development comes in. So as Bill pointed out earlier, we will have the frontage completed along the Naden property with this project. We'll also be able to extend the Meeker frontage improvements between the interurban trail, which is just the east side of the Naden property, out to Washington Avenue. So a significant chunk of the Meeker Street improvements. We will have one section left to the west to tie them all together between the interurban and the river. That'll be coming probably in another couple of years. But for the next phase, which will keep us very busy this summer and into 2027, that's tonight's bid. So again, Washington Avenue to interurban. This includes 3 grants, 2 federal grants and a state grant. So we've actually matched the federal dollars with state dollars. So we have some local money in there, but very little. It's mostly paid for by grant dollars, so very exciting. Again, the fact that we're in the Regional Growth Center and have prospects coming with regard to Naden helped us get those federal grants. So excited to be able to bring that back to the city. Note of caution, this will be the construction very impactful. We're going to end up needing to do a lot of work. We're seeing months-long detour eastbound only traffic underneath SR 167 as we work on the elements on the south side of the street. So just want to point that out for folks. We'll have a lot of warning before construction gets going in the late spring, but want to point that out as we're awarding the job. Just that note of caution. A lot of excitement, and it takes a little while until it's all done and people are using it. So we opened 6 bids on the 13th of January. Low bid we got from Active Construction, Inc. for just shy of $6,875,000. And the engineer's estimate was $8,615,000. So we came in well under the estimate. We did have the lowest 4 of the 6 bids were very close, which was good news. It meant that the bidders saw the project very similarly. So we feel good about the bid. We have worked with Active Construction. They're actually they've just finished up, or they're finishing up 76th Avenue South project, the last section of that up by Blue Origin. So we are aware of their work and we recommend award.
All right. Council, any questions for Chad? Okay, seeing none, a motion would be in order.
I move to award the Meeker Street, Washington Avenue to Interurban Trail Project to Active Construction Incorporated in the amount of $6,874,975 and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents and subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the city attorney and public works director.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right, thank you, Chad. We do not have an executive session this evening, so that brings us to the bottom of our agenda. I want to say one more time, go Hawks on Sunday. Everybody enjoy the game, and with that, we are adjourned.